Welcome, everyone. This is Addy Ads, Anakin Skywalker, YouTube's chosen one. This is another edition of Addy Chats, and I have a special guest today, Mr. Marshall Masters. Marshall is a former CNN science feature news producer. He's also a freelance writer, a television analyst, and the publisher of YOWUSA.com. Since 1999, he has been researching Earth changes and Nibiru flyby-related topics, including sustainable survival communities, catastrophic crop circles, impact events, and future technologies. Like many others, Marshall sees a dark cloud coming. What makes him different is that he also sees a silver lining, a noble and inspiring Star Trek future. Mr. Masters, Marshall, how are you doing today, sir?
Getting along just like everybody else. Hold on a second. We need a good greeting. Happy Plague Day.
Happy Plague Day, yeah.
Yeah, because it's a very unhappy situation. A lot of people are going, hold on a second. What's wrong with this picture? Things are just not adding up. There's a lot of awareness happening right now. It's an amazing time of awareness. And you would think a guy like myself has been writing about these topics since 1999 and being branded a conspiracy theorist, which, mind you, is a term created by the CIA to discredit honest people. And for the first time, I'm seeing a mass awakening. And I can't say, oh my gosh, this is wonderful, because right now I feel like the hub of a wheel with all the spokes coming into me, and all of the spokes that have been kind of talking over the years and playing with ideas. Now they're going, yeah, and the awareness is pretty much that way. So my life is every time I pick up a phone or read an email these days, it's, people are waking up, and it's terribly uncomfortable for them. And gosh, I've been there, done that, seen it, talked about it, bought all the t-shirts, and it's like hearing all that, is actually, I always thought that would be a fantastic thing. I'm in it. It sucks.
Well, let's talk about your background at CNN, Marshall. When did you start working there? Because you are actually kind of hard to research compared to other people that I've interviewed for whatever reason. But let's just talk about your time at CNN. How did that start, and how long were you there working in the science department over there?
Well, I was a field producer in Texas, and this was in the 80s, late 80s, when Ted Turner was running it. That CNN, oh my God, that was, my degree was in communications from Arizona State. And CNN at that time was right on the cutting edge of fantastic investigative journalism. It was a lean, mean news machine. It was just an amazing, amazing thing to be involved with at that time. It's like becoming an aerospace engineer in the Mercury space program, something like that. And you're breaking ground. And I really enjoyed it. I produced 3-minute features, and my beat was Texas. I would go around to the universities and colleges, institutes. I was looking for science stories. We did the 3-minute features for Sunday. And so it was just straight investigative journalism. I had to go out, find it, put the packages together, get it into my executive producer, Bailey Barish at CNN. And a few times a year, we'd get together and work through all the packages, and I just go shoot them. And it was a lot of fun. And then I left Texas to go work in the Silicon Valley. And they didn't, they already had someone there. They already had an office. So they didn't need another field producer. They already had it covered. And I just went off into the computer business, having enjoyed my time at CNN. And
you were there how long?
I worked with them for about 2 years.
Okay. And in between college at, you said ASU and CNN, was there stuff you were doing in between there, or did you go right into working for them?
No, I graduated college, ASU in 77. And I went to Texas. I started in the computer industry. I was actually in the computer industry, gosh, I think about 2 or 3 years before Apple entered. I was in the very, very early days, the very, very early days.
Oh, wow.
And stayed through it. And so at the time, I was in Austin, Texas, and I was doing a special science feature for the Texas cable network. Had a 6 million audience. It was the longest running computer software show at the time. And that was how I transitioned into CNN and working with them on doing science features. And oh gosh, it was just amazing. The most amazing story was I did the Bracken Bat Cave as a Halloween piece. And the Bracken Bat Cave outside of Austin in Texas is the single largest collection of warm-blooded animals on the planet, period. And down in this bowl, there was a cave and the bats were in there, and they'd come out in just a huge swarm. And what they did was they would swirl in a vortex and then go straight up thousands of feet. And then they would diverge into different streams going to different areas of the state. And they were eating tens of tons of insects every night. Just amazing. And I was with Merlin Tuttle was the expert, and we were waiting for the emergence at dusk after having shot the other stuff in the afternoon. And I went and I stood in the bowl so that the bats would have to fly around me. And my crew built a wall of cardboard and huddled behind it. Not me, baby. I was going to commune with nature, man.
Did they record you at all? Did they get any recordings?
No, they didn't do it. They were too busy hiding, and peeking outside the cardboard. And but I stood there as thousands and thousands of bats, free-tailed Mexican bats, were flying around me. I was in the middle of their world. I literally held out my arms like, I'm on the cross. And I stood there as thousands of bats flew at me. I could feel their warmth. I could hear them. I could feel the puffs of wind from the flaps of their wings. I was in their environment. And, they flowed around me like water around a boulder in a stream. Most amazing. And I just became part of their environment. And they accepted me. And so I just stood there as thousands of bats flew past me. And, the force was with me, baby. You feel that much life force energy. Hey.
Wow, that's cool that you got to do that because of that job posting you had. And what was the catalyst for you leaving CNN?
Well, like I said, I relocated from Texas to Silicon Valley. In Silicon Valley, I really, in the computer industry, I did a lot of your basic work, but I was a systems analyst. And also I was what they called a firefighter. I was that prima donna you brought in to fix it. And and I was good at it. And I worked with everybody, all the big names. I was a freelancer, and AT&T, Lockheed Martin, HP, you go down, Sun Microsystems, Oracle, go down the list. My big specialty was really communications. And so, on that black hole on the other side of your cable modem, if you could look into that world, you'd see me looking back at you.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because you have since then written many books. You are an established author, and I actually read your bio straight from your Amazon, which is the most official form of biography I could find. You are somewhat elusive on the internet, as it were, but you have how many books in your bibliography now, Marshall?
I don't know, about a dozen. I have to go back and count them. Yeah, and of course you're not going to find much about me because I'm so suppressed. I leak through the cracks. They demonetized my channel, my Yowza channel. I'm under constant attack. They're always trying to hurt me financially, wreck me. It's been, especially since I just brought out my new book, Win-Win Survival Communities. It is absolutely, utterly insane what they're doing to me and how they're hurting me. Because Win-Win Survival Communities actually is, and I can say it because they're hitting me, it's a reverse Agenda 21. Agenda 21 is about getting people out of the country and into the cities. And Win-Win Survival Communities is about getting them out of the cities and back into the country. So they're doing everything to destroy me and destroy my message. But you know what? Like they said in World War II, if you're not taking flak, you're not over the target. You know, they also had another great saying: winners never quit and quitters never win. So
I like that first one. I've never heard that. If you're not taking flag, you're not over the target. That's kind of true, isn't it?
That's right. And to all you monsters for the deep state and the globalists that are hassling me, screw you and the cowboy and the horse you rode in on, cowboy. You know, that's it. You're not going to stop me.
So you did have a YouTube channel before, Marshall?
No, I still have them, but I'm terrified to post anything. I have my Yow Books channel is over 18 million views.
Wow.
And to date, and I've been out there for a long time, but I am terrified to post anything new. I could put up, how to grow better roses with horse manure, and they're going to go, oh my God, you just attacked Hillary, and that's it. They trash my channel. Social media today is the wild, wild west, and the sheriffs are damn drunks.
That's a great metaphor, isn't it? It is the Wild West, isn't it, in so many ways?
Yeah.
But that's also a good thing too. It's a double-edged sword in those senses, because of the fact that it does allow us that freedom, but then you do get those drunken sheriffs, like you said, that try to ruin everything.
Well, I mean, they're working. I mean, their bosses are telling them, get her done, go shut this down, stop this conversation. Free speech is a notion for fools. I mean, I think the country, the thing of it is, and I will tell you, as a former CNN science feature producer, I look at the CNN today, and what I see is sedition. I'm going to repeat that. As a former CNN science feature producer, what I see today with this network is sedition.
Can you define sedition for us, Marshall?
Actually, go to 115. It'll define it for you very well. Okay. And what they're doing is they are, especially with coronavirus, this is where they really went a bridge too far. Okay. And trashing the other alternatives like hydroxychloroquine so that they could push the vaccine agenda. What I see is it's awful. I mean, the mainstream media in general, to me, is like watching Invasion of the Body Snatchers. 4:00 in the morning, the pods open and the zombie reporters slither out, and golly gee, they all sound alike.
Yeah, and it seems to me, Marshall, that everyone is waking up to this precisely because of this pandemic. Like you said in the opening thoughts you shared, there seems to be an awakening going on, a consciousness shift in the collective kind of zeitgeist. What do you think?
Oh, that's what I was talking about in the beginning of the interview. That part, people are waking up. That's the awakening. They're, oh my God, this is so deep. This corruption is awful. We're going to lose the country. And this is not hyperbole. This is, oh my God, wake up, smell the coffee. That kimchi is deep, And so people are waking up to it. And it's a good thing because it's a healing thing. And
Yeah, I think it's important for that healing to happen, that pain process happens, you know. And how do you think about what someone can do to affect this situation? Voting, for example, is one thing people can do. How do you go about, you, for example, Marshall? How do you decide who to vote for, either in 2016 or this year?
for me, I've never really been, if you look at my site over the years, I haven't been political. Kind of, dabble in it once in a while, but that's it. However, I'm seeing the immersion emerge here, Planet X and all of the political nonsense that's going on. And everything people are being told is really happy bullshit because the real truth is this is the mother of all musical chairs game. As in, whoever's left standing when the music stops playing gets to sleep with the dinosaurs. And the tussle is between the globalists with their media minions and their central bankers and this huge octopus web of evil that really, when you stop to think of the globalists, they are the specter of the James Bond movies. Go watch Goldfinger. I mean, this is Spectre. Okay. It's funny. Life mimics, art.
I have to admit, Marshall, I have to see Goldfinger still, but I have seen the most recent Spectre, so you might get mad at me for that. But I think it's more of a testament to my age than anything else.
I agree with you on that one. And so, but it's that theme of there's that deep, dark, sinister, evil force. And it's just not movies. I mean, it really does exist. That's the reason why James Bond as a franchise resonates with people, because they do sense that there is that, the heroic stuff, all the hero stuff about, spies. And, we obviously are starting to learn that's a little overplayed. But, the bottom line here is everybody's got skin in the game, because back around, I first started reporting in 1999 on Earth changes and space threats. And it was in 2001 we began investigating Planet X. And in 2002, I wrote my first Planet X article. And I did it with based on research that I conducted with Brian Marsden of the Smithsonian Astrophysics Lab. And it was titled, Did Planet X Cause the Extinction of the Dinosaurs? And we were playing with a kind of an interesting scenario. And then I started following it. And what had happened is that during the 1990s, I had been flying back and forth to Russia doing business. I had a travel business. And I saw the deterioration of the poles over a span of about 8 years. And always in the same month, January, when I was returning from my business trips. The first time I saw the pole, it was just stunning, beautiful, beautiful. Unbroken white, beautiful snow. And it was the first time I saw blue ice. Now, I already knew what blue ice was because, see, I grew up in Phoenix. All right. And in Phoenix in the summer, you went to Circle K and they had a machine and you'd put the ice in with the blue syrup, and that was blue ice.
Okay. I know what you're talking about.
Right. And so all of a sudden I'm seeing blue ice from, up in the atmosphere. Hello. That was amazing. My nose was glued to the window. And I was riding in the most comfortable commercial airliner ever constructed in the world. The Tu-62, flown by Aeroflot. Oh my God, that was so great an airplane. It was just like it set in the air like a tank, and all 4 engines were in the back, so no noise virtually. And I just was there, just glued to the window, couldn't take my eyes off it. But then the next year, and then the next year, and then the next year. And of course, I'm going over in December and back in January. December, always night. January, always day. Over the poles, Aeroflot, San Francisco to Moscow, Sheremetyevo, and return. And what I saw over the subsequent years was steady deterioration of the poles. Now, back then, people who were alarmed about such things were dismissed as conspiracy theorists and tree huggers. Remember the day? Oh, no, hold on a sec. That might be a little young. All right. And I just didn't buy it, because by the time of my last trip, what I had seen was a steady deterioration. Cracking, cracking, more cracking, more cracking, more cracking, until finally, on my last flight, it looked like the shattered windshield of a car in a junkyard. I went from beautiful white pristine to a disaster. No hills and valleys, no ups and downs. I just saw steady deterioration. Now, where did that lead to? For the first time in recorded history, cruise ships are now taking the inner passage. Okay? They're able to sail through places where there used to be solid ice cover. And what are we doing? We're exploring up around the North Pole for oil. So I knew something was wrong. Our planet was not going in the right direction. Now the question is, all right, what's causing it? Is this global warming? And we began evaluating all the data. Now there was 3 of us. We were Mensa, and myself, and editor Janice Manning, and our physicist Jaco van der Wart. And so we started analyzing everything. And what we found was that man-made causes are exacerbating current trends, but only as an aggravator. All right? It's like picking at a scab almost. What's really driving it is the sun. And if you notice with solar reporting, the emphasis is always on spots. That was irrelevant to us. What was relevant was luminescence, the brightness of the sun, which has been steadily increasing and is forecasted to increase significantly in the years ahead. And this is hard science. This is take it to the bank science. So we're going, okay, the sun is doing this. Now, is this consistent with recorded history? No, it wasn't. We couldn't find current trends, solar trends, anywhere where there was a similar pattern in the data. So we were dealing with something anomalous. And then the question was, is if this is anomalous, could it still be a natural occurrence, natural variability, if you will, of the sun? Or is the sun contending with a perturber? And we eliminated the first, and what was left was the latter, that there is a perturber, that the sun's growing luminescence is related to that. And we then started saying, if this is the case, if solar luminance is the case, then it would be consistent that every body in our solar system with an atmosphere will be somehow perturbed. Evidence of changes in its atmosphere. And that was when we were stunned. Everything was feeling it. And as a matter of fact, at that time, there was a period of surface warming on Mars that if it had occurred here on Earth, we would be extinct now. Okay. I mean, Mars warmed up to shirt sleeve weather for a while, so to speak. But we also saw warming when Pluto made its transit around the sun and went back to in its aphelion leg. We saw it in strange things. All of the planets from the sun out are showing atmospheric perturbations. Mercury, just forget about it. But Venus, while we couldn't observe anything atmospherically, what was reported extensively back in those times was that there were major new things being discovered in terms of X-rays, radio frequency emissions, and so forth. So even Venus was doing things they hadn't seen before. So everything is responding to the sun, and therefore the sun is responding to something else. What in the hell is the sun responding to? All right. That is what led us to Planet X. Now, Planet X, and if you go to my site, there's a video, or you can find it on the web, Planet X 101, Who, What, Why, Where, When, and How. Now, if you watch that in 1 hour, I'm going to give you the blow-by-blow of everyone in this cast of characters. This is a science story. See, the disinformationalists are going to tell you Nancy Leader talked to a bunch of aliens and invented this. Okay? Yeah, she talks to aliens, but she didn't invent this. All right? That's the one. That's it right there. Who, what, why, where, when, and how. You watch that video, by golly, you're going to have the lowdown. And I will tell you, after I brought out this video in 2013, the deep state was so furious with me. What they did was they went into Amazon, downloaded all of my books on Kindle. And at that time, Kindle security was Swiss cheese. Anybody could cut through it. They used a downloadable free tool, and they chopped it up to pieces. They took all my titles, created module packages, and then put my books up on over 200 free FTP download sites. After which I get a letter from Amazon telling me, we blame you for the piracy. We believe you're doing it yourself and you have this much time to cease and desist, or we will pull your imprint.
They said that you were pirating your own material.
Exactly.
That makes no sense. But just go time back to
They
Planet
did,
X.
But
yeah,
let me
go ahead,
finish
Mark.
the story. Let me finish the story.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Back then, there were white hats and black hats in Google. I don't know about today. I don't think so today. But back then, there were good people, and they hadn't been forced out. And so I went to Google, and what they did was we sent cease and desist letters, and about half of the sites pulled the files down, and the other half of the sites, wrote me back kind letters, basically saying, read between the lines. Okay? And worst of which was this SOB who had a website in North Vietnam. And he told me, well, come to Vietnam and sue me, asshole. Like that. And so I filed a complaint with Google saying, these people are using your search engines to spread my books illegally. And what happened was somebody in Google saw this and saw it was a terrible injustice. And it was interesting. I got a response and said, we were able to do this for you and this and this. Here's an email address. Refile your complaint with them. And that was all it said. The next day, I bounced to another department. The email addresses were all cryptic, XBG Day 21, whatever.
Yeah, right.
Okay, anonymous email addresses. And I went to the second department, filed the complaint, and they came back and they said, we did this and this and this and this. Now go to this department. And then I got another anonymous address at Google, and they did it. And then finally it went to the 4th department. And we had cleared out all the debris except the son of a bitch in Vietnam, North Korea. Google went to CERN in Switzerland, and his domain was revoked. And Google put that thieving son of a bitch out of business. Okay? So, now, I think that what happened with Amazon, it's an inside job. All big crime is. Someone inside Amazon, the phone rang one day and they went, anything for the club. And they did the number on me. And that's how it operates. And for people who hear it, it's really sad because, first off, if I'm telling you about all of this, all right, how are the people who attack me responding? Oh my God, they're dancing a jig. They're drunk with power because I'm saying what they can do. And it's intimidating as hell for anybody that's trying to build a channel or trying to build a podcast. And so I wind up becoming a tool of their intimidation. And I really thought about that as someone who had been in the media. And so what I'm proposing is we need a Citizens News Alliance. All right. And because the media right now, as far as I see them, most of them are pampered East Coast liberals with a communist corncob up their ass. Okay? And they're so lost in their own little cluster of smugness, they don't know what in the hell the country's thinking. That's why I think we need to change this. We need to grassroots this news coverage. And so what I'm saying is that this is something we don't ask the government to do this for us. Oh God, we don't need that. We don't need another government solution. What we do is we can crowdfund this. We can use cryptocurrency. There's any number of ways of doing it, but a national program where we're creating a data center for the citizens that is not controlled by Zuckerberg et al., who have absolutely no respect for the Constitution. Okay? They want to get rid of it. I wish he had half the, Elon Musk with SpaceX. That guy's righteous. He's going, hey, give people back their rights.
Yeah, I saw that. There seems to be like a divide because of that with Zuckerberg and Musk.
And I'm going to tell you how I think this will play out, just as a side note, because of my communications experience. I've been researching Starlink, and 5G is it's an onion. Every layer, you're just going to cry, and you peel it, you're going to cry some more. Peel it, you're going to cry some more. 5G. Thank God people are getting angry enough to burn the towers. They let us. They really shoved smart meters up our butts. But this time with 5G, I don't think people, especially with the Chinese Communist Party using it to examine our lives. I mean, what are they going to do next? Install webcams on our toilet seats so America is safe knowing that it has adequate fiber in its diet? Okay? It's insane. The spying is totally insane.
Marshall, can you speak? I agree with what you're saying. It reminds me of something Edward Snowden said in his interview he did, I think last week or 10 days ago. It was basically saying we have all this technology that you can track people's toenails from 3 billion miles away, but we don't even have enough resources to supply our patients with respirators. And I thought that was a really great point that he made, focusing on what you're talking about right now.
Well, I think he pointed it out, and I think people are looking, and what they're realizing is the 4 kills. China has committed 4 kills. First was they developed this virus, period. There's no way they can sidestep this. All right. Secondly, it was released. Now, the question is whether it was accidental or not, but it makes no difference. That was the second kill. It got released. The third kill was that they suppressed the information. And they had literally, they wouldn't let foreigners go into Wuhan, but they let everybody in Wuhan take the airplanes and go all the way around the world and spread the disease.
Yeah.
And what they did after that, while that was going on, was the 4th kill. They swallowed up huge amounts of PPP, respirators, all of the stuff, medicines, everything we need. The Chinese were grabbing it off the market. And so the reason why we have these shortages is A, the Obama administration left us with a bare cabinet, and B, China pulled everything off the market. And so they're taking a mask at maybe 35 cents and they're selling it for $8. So the profiteering is just vulgar and it's ugly. And what China has done is really whacked the world. No question about it.
I agree, Marshall. And what do you think as it pertains to our own leaders' responses to this this pandemic, this epidemic? Because it seems to me that the media is trying to make China out to be the only bad guy. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the West's response in terms of their leaders?
Well, right now, China is the bad guy because you have to go back to that. But the point is who are they in bed with? Okay. This is a pox on big pharma. Now, the reason why they're killing hydroxychloroquine is it's generic and it's cheap. And this new drug they're coming out, the new wonder drug, which doesn't work as well, nowhere near as well. But it's like, what, $800 a dose, something like that, some insane amount. So it's profiteering. And that's what's going on. And all of this, but from a political standpoint, this is multifaceted. There's just not one thing. From a political standpoint, the Democrats have an obvious agenda. They want to keep the country in lockdown through the election so that they can force ballot voting by mail. And that will be a very simple thing for them to corrupt. And they can, if 2 million Americans go to the polls, there'll be 250,000 votes. All right. It's just going to be that crooked. And so you are seeing, the president keeps this drumbeat about honest elections. So we're going to see that. But they want us to be locked up in our houses. Now, it's interesting. Let's watch and see as the nation opens, because the red states are leading the charge here to open. And it's the blue states that want to have this fascist-like control. And it's really making a great distinguish between the two. However, for the patriots, what I see is that they have co-opted a major globalist plan to crush the global economy, thereby to cause Trump to lose the election, and two, for them to strengthen their grip on the public with a mandatory vaccination licensing, and then, of course, for continuous testing, we're all going to have to be chipped, and we're going to have the number of the beast. So when I listen to guys like Fauci, he's to me, he's bad news. You dig into Fauci, HIV, what he's done, this guy's dirty. He's a globalist poster boy. That's why Trump put him up front. And right now, is Fauci running the show? No. They let Fauci make the crisis. But then all of a sudden, Fauci gets up and makes an announcement during a presser. Well, everybody else is going to do it because it's not my cup of tea. And I'm just going to tell you what they're doing and why it's important. Who needs that? The people can tell us themselves. Okay?
So You think the end game is forced vaccinations for everyone?
The end game is slavery.
Yeah.
Addie, you got skin in the game.
Yes, I do. Now I
Everyone
do.
has skin in the game. The globalist aim, if right now we're in a silent war, and that's about to become very loud. But we're in a silent war, and it's binary on the outcome. There's no maybe in the middle, maybe here, maybe there, maybe this, maybe that. Oh, isn't this nice? Let's go and we'll cogitate on this, and no, it's two. If the globalists win, 95% of us die, and those who survive will become part of a slave species for countless generations to come. And we won't be given our freedom again until there's nothing left to steal.
Do you think this is bigger than 9/11, Marshall? Yeah.
Let me finish. Just
yeah. Sorry.
Now,
yeah, go ahead.
If Trump and the globalists win, we got a fighting chance. Okay? So there's your choice. There's your choice, good buddy. Do you want a fighting chance or you want a guaranteed coffin? Okay? It comes right down to that. Back to you for that question.
Yeah. So we actually got a question from Autumn here. What do you think is the best way to expose all this corruption in this day and age?
By doing what you and I are doing right now. Talking about it. Getting the word out there.
Yeah, and the people who watch too is they're partaking too by being an informed citizen, paying attention to all the sources and trying to glean the the most useful info out of that and separate the wheat from the chaff. That being said, Marshall, so you don't vote, as far as I can tell, or you historically have not been one to vote. You express your political ideologies other ways?
I voted for Trump.
You did? Okay. Yeah.
And I'm a patriot and I'm proud of it. And I think this is a time right now when patriots are doing what patriots do. We go, I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take any more of it. We grab our squirrel gun, go climb up a tree, and get a bead on a British officer. Works for me.
That's what you said there. Part of it resonated me insofar as just losing my patience and saying enough is enough with just the nonsense that has been spewed on the media the last couple of years. And whoever you vote for, whoever you support, you can't deny the fact that there has been a sustained attack on Trump even before he took office. And that's not something that you can deny. But what are your thoughts, regardless of the fact that you voted for him, Marshall? What are your thoughts on how he is responding? And I do agree with what you said in that it seems to me, and I could evolve and change my opinion on this and change my thinking as I do, but it seems to me, like you said, that one option is a guaranteed loss, and the other option is you don't know if it's never a guaranteed win, but it's better. Anything is better than a guaranteed loss, right? So
that's right. You have a chance to fight for your life. You have someone that's going to be honest with you. Look, every president after Reagan and before Trump was a globalist minion. So we're talking Bushes, Clinton, Obama. They were all globalist stooges. They're the ones that destroyed us. Bush put us into NAFTA. Clinton put us into WTO. Okay? And Obama left the cupboards bare. Everything was a setup to destroy the economy, weaken our military, so that there could be an effective insurrection and take over control of the country, and we turn into a third level banana republic. Now, a lot of the things that you're seeing right now is part of the globalist strategy. The globalists are like T-1000 Terminators. They follow their programming. You destroy them, they will reconstitute, and then they will continue following their programming. The patriots are a light force, highly maneuvered. combat tactics. And I wrote about this in an article I just put up about time on target. And go look for the topic. It's on my homepage.
Definitely. And we will put all your links in the description box below. Right. And please do send me over your YouTube links, Marshall, because people do have trouble finding those sometimes.
Sure. The yeah, that's I can just here. Hold on a second.
Sure. Yeah, we can. If you want to send it
here, I'll put it
in the comments. Yeah, sure. Let's take a look at these comments here. Lisa, thank you for that. That's very kind. Autumn. And then shout out to Venus. I saw your super chat. Really appreciate that, Venus Glow. And we do appreciate the fact that you enjoy this info. But yes, provide links, says Nan.
I put it up in the chat room.
Okay, so, oh, that's my private chat. Let me just pull it over to the general chat. And both of those, you run 2 channels, looks like, Marshall?
Yowbooks and Yowza.
Okay. So
now, Yowza has my most current. The last one I had in there was the best observation video. And that was the one they demonetized my channel. And I have a lot of time and effort and years invested in those channels. And YouTube is fascism in practice now. Mm-hmm. So at least I can leave the work up there.
We have another
with these fascists at YouTube, you know, you could put up a video about my kitty cat and they're going to, oh, someone's going to find, oh my God, your cat challenged or something. Boom, take your channel. Or anything. They're looking for anything. They are really, my God, you have no idea. I talked to a lot of hosts. Okay. There's a lot of pain out there. There's a lot of good guys getting screwed. A lot of good women losing, you know, a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
And then there's the fear porn clickbait yutzes that are just cashing in right now.
Oh my goodness, it's ridiculous. It's pretty insane what's going on. Yeah,
it is.
What someone I work with too said that dozens of people that he has worked with for years have been demonetized in the past month by YouTube and the powers that be on the internet.
Well, it's the deep state. It's globalists, and they're using YouTube this way. And I really look forward to other platforms. There's still some of this on the other social media video streaming, but that's the reason why I want a Citizens News Network. That the Data Service Center is owned by a non-governmental nonprofit supported by the people and answerable to the people. And that you then could take YouTube capability and you could put it on the internet without advertising. It's citizen supported. And what we do is we go out there and we get cameras and instruction and help out to the kids and let them do the reporting. Go to junior highs, junior colleges, religious and military academies and orphanages. Go to all these places, put cameras in their hands, and let these kids go out there and report the news and talk to people. If they know they're going to interview someone, they could go into their chat rooms, social media. They could say, hey, what are issues? What are you guys thinking about? I'm going to go talking about this today. And so we have true representation. And then this way, if we have the kids doing it, we're not going to have these East Coast liberals with the communist corncob up their ass running the country. We're going to have real people in real country giving us real news. Who knew? So, you know, that's what I'm asking for now.
Definitely. And Nan just made a good point. The Patreon app is a good app for citizen journalists. And Mr. George Webb actually just encouraged me to set mine up. So I'm going to do that actually today. And I'm guessing you have one too, Marshall, on your YouTube. And shout out again to Nan for the super chat. Do appreciate that. One, American news is trustworthy. It should leave Fox. Fox is corrupt now. Yes, they are all corrupt to varying degrees. I do agree with that.
My thinking of Fox, look, they have the classic news thing. They're saying, oh, well, look at different agencies like New York Times, their editorial, or Wall Street Journal, maybe their editorials are conservative, but their reporting is liberal. All right, it's all profiteering at this point. At this point, we're in a civil war and you got to take sides. And what Fox is doing is they're profiteering. The other networks are just scum. That's it. They went lowball. I hope to hell these people go down, and a lot of them are going to feel the pangs of what it's like to be charged with sedition. It would be nice to see them doing a perp walk. I doubt it. What I see is this is actually forging new channels, new outlets. I think in a year from now, we're not going to be talking about mainstream media and what MSNBC is doing and all these people, because they're going to be irrelevant. Everyone's going to see how corrupt they are. They're going to see what their duplicity is. I'm looking and I'm seeing like One American News, Epoch Times, fantastic reporting. Fantastic reporting. Excellent, excellent standards. You know, they're doing something that the MSM doesn't do. MSM will just, somebody goes into a bathroom, lets a fart. Next thing you know, everyone says Trump is causing global warming. All right. That's what this nonsense is. You want, you know, it's like when I was at CNN, you certify facts. If Turner saw half the stuff that's going on right now, all these clowns would be kicking rocks down the road.
Yeah, he was a good leader, you'd say?
Oh yeah. I mean, he's about as he's so liberal. Oh my God. He makes Trump look like a communist. But excuse me, I got distracted there. But again, going back to we need a whole fresh start. That's what we need. We need a fresh start. We can't go back to it. And I'll tell you the reason why we can't go back. When I was at CNN, the reason why the reporting was so damn good, okay, was that there were 50 competitors. Okay? That was it.
Competition breeds greatness.
Competition breeds greatness. And I will tell you, I worked with people who were talented, professional, disciplined seekers of the truth, and yeah, they had round heels. Okay. Today, that's all I see are the round heels. Okay. It's pretty sick. So we need to be out with this crowd.
What do you mean by round heels, Marshall?
That's how certain women make a living.
Round heels. Oh, by wearing heels? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's an old expression for you make your living on your back.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm a different
prostitution.
slang.
They're fake news prostitutes.
Okay, gotcha,
Okay?
gotcha.
So that's it. They're prostitutes. I mean, but the difference is prostitutes have better ethics.
I mean, they just because someone's a prostitute doesn't mean they have a good or a bad work ethic. But what do you think about the Kennedy family disappearance? Isn't that it's so weird that that's happening right now, or that happened? Did you see that?
I think that JFK was assassinated because he wanted to get rid of the central banks and the conspiracies and all of that. And 9/11, the JFK, nobody believes the happy bullshit. The 9/11 report, bullshit. Okay? How do you have two towers fall into their basements? And I mean, you could go back into it. It's all of this nonsense that's been moving it right now.
This is bigger than 9/11, though, isn't it?
Oh
Mark?
God! Right now, this is the apocalypse. This is the apocalypse foretold in Bible prophecy. And mind you, I'm a science guy, like, like Sergeant Friday. Just the facts, man, just the facts, but this is transformative work. And I can tell you back in 2005, I realized the agenda. And the agenda is the enslavement of the species so that we become slaves to a small cabal. Ever heard of the Georgia Guidestones? Look it up. It says,
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
It says, number one, it says keep the world under half a bill, right? Does it tell us how we get there? No.
It doesn't even tell us who made the stones.
That's right. Doesn't even tell us. And the interesting thing, CNN and Georgia Guidestones both started up, I think, within a year of each other. So interesting timing there.
We got a question here, Marshall, and perhaps you could use this question to dovetail into your books a little bit. And again, I do want to be respectful of your time, but we haven't really actually talked about your books that much. And we have this question: where are we on the timeline, Marshall?
On the timeline, now, the mechanics, the celestial mechanics and everything and how things are working is in my book, Surviving the Planet X Tribulation. And I wrote that book as a way to explain to faith leaders how they can guide their congregations through this and understand it. And so far, I haven't changed anything that I put in that book. All right. And that was 2015. My latest two books are Radio Free Earth and Win-Win Survival Communities. I'm all in on survival. You see, on September 9th, 2018, I was in Warden, Washington with a good friend. We were doing a science day. We were out doing geology. And on the way back, she just started screaming, "Oh my God, I see it." We whipped around in the car next to a wheat field and we jumped out, and I saw Planet X directly above the sun, naked eye, just as the sun was about to slip beneath the horizon, which is the only time you can do it. You have to be sunrise or sunset, because that's when you have the atmosphere cleansing. That'll allow you to have a naked eye observation. Otherwise, it takes typically smartphone cameras, particularly iPhones are better at it, where they are able to image into infrared and ultraviolet plus the visual spectrum. So they're able to see it, but in a frequency shift that our eyes don't pick up. And that's the reason why it'll appear on a smartphone. We don't see it. And right now I have on my site this PC Coronavirus Planet X Connection series, and I have a picture. And if you go to the very first article in the series, and why don't you do that? Bring that up. Go on Yowza. It's the very first of those. And I'll get you a link to it. Okay. And I'm going to drop this into your chat room.
Thank you for that, Marshall. And I will pull that up as soon as you send it. Just out of curiosity, though, where are you broadcasting to us from, Marshall?
I'm in Grass Valley right now.
Grass Valley,
California. This is where I've been writing my book. Right now, I've been living on a 400-acre ranch. And this is where I have done my research and for my book, Win-Win Survival Communities. What I've done is I've created a business plan for the common man so that people can survive. You see, once I saw it, that's it. It's over. And I feel so sorry for people who do not. Now, scroll down a little bit.
Okay, give me a second.
I like this service. Go down more. There you go. Now,
Musical
a little
chairs.
bit. Go click on the big picture
Oh, okay, right here.
above that. Above that. Just go
Oh,
above.
above that. Okay.
Go above that. Those two pictures we actually want to look at. Now click on that big one right there. The one with the chemtrails.
Okay. Let me
Okay.
zoom out. Okay.
And yeah, just go ahead and click on the image. It'll spawn.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I didn't.
Oh.
Let me. I'm on the wrong link here. Let me stop share. It opened up in a new tab. So.
Okay. There we go. Now, this is the photo analysis where I do gamma. And with digital imagery, and gamma is the acid test. It doesn't work with film. Gamma is like turning down the volume on the stereo. And what happens is, when you turn down the volume, the violins go away, and what you have left is the bass drum. Okay? And so lens artifacts, flares, so forth, they do not generate light. They are created by reflections of light. So they're very cool. And even if they look bright, they're still very cool. And so when the gamma is turned down, they'll just disappear. And when you turn the gamma down, all that's left are going to be natural objects that are generating or reflecting light. And if you see in the lower right-hand corner, all three of the objects that are still persistent. Over the years, I have analyzed thousands and thousands of pictures, Addie. One sun, one object or two object, one object, two object, one. This is the first time, very first time I saw all three in one image at altitude, which are the best observations. And all three are genuine and authentic and bright enough to cut through that amazing amount of chemtrail. And if you could go back to the other picture, that really brings it up. You can see the chemtrail very clearly. There you go. Look at that. Is that disgusting?
So these are actually the same landscapes that you took a picture of, right? With different.
Those are the analysis. I took the analysis right out of the center of that photo.
And
okay.
And what you're looking for is basically the orbs to the top.
There's three orbs. One that's down around the 8 o'clock, one that's around 12:30, and one at 1.
Okay. And just to recap, what are the significance of those again? Just for people who've never encountered this info before.
The significance of that is when I saw this, for the last year and a half, I have been waiting for an image that would indicate to me that Nemesis, the dark star at the heart of the Planet X system, had reached the ecliptic on the opposite side of the sun. Now that we see 3 planets in that system, that tells me it has reached the ecliptic, and from this point, things begin to accelerate. Now, when those objects start developing terminators, that's when we know the crap is good. Excuse me. That's when we know the fit is going to hit the shan. All right.
You can swear on my show if you want, Marshall. I really don't care. It doesn't bother me.
But when we see a terminator, so what's a terminator? It's that line between night and day. Think about the phases of the moon. We just follow the terminator across the moon. That's the phases of the moon. And you have a crescent moon, you go to a full moon. All right. And
do you have any knowledge on this, Marshall? We have a question. I don't have any knowledge on this that I can answer. Do you think of USA blowing the Horizon drilling platform in the Gulf has this control of breaking of the Crust and Madrid fault line?
I wouldn't be able to comment on that. I will tell you that I followed that We've reported on that quite extensively. But what we're really seeing, the key thing that's happening now, and it's what we call crustal undulation, this is what I call it, crustal undulation. The lithosphere, the skin of the planet, all right? Imagine taking a Jello mold out of the refrigerator that's nice and cold. You're walking and the top of the mold shakes, right? You're seeing
I'm
that's
following.
what's happening with that's what we're happening is we're doing the Jello mold. Woo woo. Okay. Um, the luminance from the sun, remember the increasing brightness. That's the reason why you see the chemtrails. You see, what they're trying to do is reflect photons of light back out into space. That's the purpose of the aluminum, is to reflect the light. And by reflecting the light, less light strikes the surface, less radiation going into the core of the planet. Now, this radiation is affecting the planet. It's not increasing the amount of magma, nor is it increasing or decreasing temperature. What's happening is it is causing an increased magma flow. And there are vast rivers of magma that we have tracked through the science data on earthquakes we've been tracking for several years now. And what we're finding is actually there's the Nazca nexus is what we call it, where the plates are hitting a junction point. And what we've tapped down is the Caribbean plate is actually a relief valve for the West Coast. And so if we start seeing massive quakes right on the edge of that fault line, we know it's under a lot of stress. And there was, I think a month ago, there was a big one right on the fault line. And so if we start seeing huge events in the Caribbean basin, terrible huge events, California is right behind, because that means that river system of magma is blocked, backed up, developing pressure, and that pressure is going to release in an earthquake. So that's really what we see coming. And it's this crustal undulation, this rapid movement of magma that is happening that is directly attributable to magnetic north is moving around the top of the earth like a drunk, and a very fast drunk. Airports are having to repaint runway numbers. We're having sinkholes in places we didn't have before. I mean, ask anyone in Florida. There's always been sinkholes in Florida. But sinkholes in other places? No. Land tears.
I have noticed just
Yeah.
an increase in earthquakes too, and I don't even really pay attention to this stuff. I have a friend who does, and she's saying that on her app, because you can get an app that tracks it, that the earthquakes have just been going crazy since kind of all this started.
Well, earthquakes, everything started going crazy January 2013. You see, 2012, the Mayan calendar was real. The Mayans were right. The Mayans were giving us a harbinger sign. Harbingers, all good prophecy has a harbinger. And what the harbinger does is it lets you know you are on the timeline of a catastrophic event so that you can take precautions. Think about the Bible story of 7 lean cows, 7 fat cows. Okay? So that's the point of a harbinger, is to warn you. And the ancients, the most precise thing that they could use was the sky. We don't think about it that way because our viewing sky.
Nobody ever looks up.
Yeah. I mean, we're always looking, and you walk into airports. It's amazing. You know, you walk around zombies. Everybody's looking at smartphones and tablets. And I don't know how everybody just doesn't collide into each other.
I remember it was the first time that I took an airplane flight since I was a child.
Right.
And it was actually when I went from Wisconsin to Guam. So basically around the world, 12 and a half hours, 13-hour flight in total. And the first time I went on an airplane when I was a child, it was always at night to LA. So I didn't see anything. But I remember looking out at the window in the airplane, and I was just so blown away. Just one of those moments that you never forget, where it just shifts your consciousness. Yeah, the sky is, yeah, it's truly awe-inspiring when you can see it from that height.
Absolutely. And I see this question down here from Cheesy Writer. I love the way that's spelled. Marshall, please, do you believe that the alignment of planets creates tectonic activity? Actually, this is interesting because Carlos Munoz Ferrada, who predicted a major earthquake in Chile, it was spot on. That was important for him. Others have used the planetary alignments. And by the way, Carlos Munoz Ferrada was the first astronomer in 1940 to announce the existence of Nemesis and a companion. At that time, he called it the red planet and the black sun. And now what he called a black sun, we call a brown dwarf. And the planet he described is Nibiru. All right. And he described being several times the size of the Earth, and that it was in a clockwise comet-like orbit. And this is consistent with what Zachariah Sitchin tells us and other astronomers have told us. All right. So again, please, folks, you know, if you would just go watch that video, who, what, why, where, when, and how. Planet X 101. Who, what, why, where, when, and how. In 1 hour, I give it to you. Every major date, every major player, every name you need to know and remember. If you'll do that, you'll be light years ahead. You're not going to be sitting there trying to shovel through tons of shit. You know, I mean, it's like today, I mean, I see people and they watch the fear porn on video. And it reminds me of the classic joke of the optimist and the pessimist. You know about the classic joke of the optimist and the pessimist?
Tell us, Marshall, please.
Okay. So they had these two kids, 10-year-old boys. And the scientists, one is a hopeless optimist and one is a hopeless cynic. And they wanted to understand why this was. So they put two big testing rooms. And in one room, they put every toy they could find in the stores, every variation, everything was great. They brought the cynic in, and the kid goes to it, and he starts sorting through the stack. Wrong color, last year's model. No, it doesn't work. This is bad. Too many batteries. And he's finding fault with everything. So that was pretty discouraging. They go to the second testing suite, and they bring in the eternal optimist. And what does he see? In the middle of this huge room is a 20-foot high pile of fresh, steamy, hot horse manure. Steamy hot. And what does this kid do? He immediately runs right up to the top of the pile, and he's scooping horse shit in every direction. This way, that way, this. He's digging and digging and digging and digging and digging and digging. And finally, the scientist, my God, kid, why are you doing that? And the kid says, isn't it obvious? With this much shit, there's got to be a pony. And so that's what people are doing with all this clickbait and fear porn. They're looking for ponies under the shit. Friends, there's no ponies. But go ahead and have fun flinging shit.
That's well put, Marshall. And that's a great and funny, positive thought that we can end on, because you do have an interview later, and I do want to be respectful of your time, Marshall. Thank you for unpacking some of that. And again, I will put Marshall's links in the description box below, including the video that he is imploring everyone to go ahead and watch on his website. That being said, Marshall, I would love it if you were to join us on our COVID Scientist Roundtable that I've been running the last couple weeks. I do it every Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern. It doesn't have to be this Saturday, but if you could join us one of these Saturdays, I think the guys on the table would really appreciate that if you would be up for it.
Yeah, I can do that.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely.
Saturday, 9. That's 6 o'clock my time. That'll work.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet. Let's do that. And just a shout out to the homie for putting me on to you, Marshall, and letting me know who you are. And that guy knows who he is as well. So thanks to him. And once again, thanks to everybody in the comments for supporting. I hope we got to everyone's questions. And again, if you would like to talk just one-on-one with me as well, Marshall, or if you want me on your channel, either or, I am 100% for. Do you have any final asks or requests of the audience other than to check out your video and your website?
Yeah. Right now, we're in a classic war of good versus evil. And we got a lot of good people out there, and they're fighting the good fight, and they're taking a lot of punishment. And I'm taking a lot of punishment, but this is the life I chose. And for a lot of others, they didn't choose to be under this punishment, but they are standing and they are delivering and they care. And right now, what can you do? Pray for them. I'm serious. Pray for them because they're fighting for you. And why? Because in the final analysis, survival is less about holding on to things and more about holding on to each other. Thank you, Addie.
Thank you, Marshall.